Alright, what's up, everybody? It's another Monday, and you know what that means? Another murderous Monday. And, hold on a second. And I talk about serial killers and upload every Monday, hence the name. And the next killer that I will be talking about is T.J. Lane. Who was he? What was his early life like? And why and how did he become so evil? I will answer that and more in this video as I take you down the perspective mind of a serial killer. Now, if you guys do not want to hear about school shooting and people getting killed, I will say click off this video and I'll see you in another one. But all I have to say is that this kid, yes, kid, showed no remorse. He is a menace to society and he should be locked up for life. I couldn't find much about his early life and family, only the shooting itself. So here we go. On the morning of February 27th, 2012, 6 students were shot at Chardon High School in Chardon, Ohio, resulting in the deaths of 3 of them. Witnesses said that the shooter had a personal rivalry with one of his victims. 2 other wounded students were also hospitalized, one of whom sustained several serious injuries that have resulted in permanent paralysis. He was permanently paralyzed. The 5th student suffered a minor injury, and the 6th a superficial wound. By the evening of February 27th, authorities confirmed that the suspect was Thomas Michael T.J. Lane III. A 17-year-old male, juvenile, and former student of Chardon who was a sophomore at Lake Academy Alternative School and used a bus in common with several victims. Lane used a .22 caliber handgun. Lane was soon arrested by police near his car parked outside the school. Lane was ultimately indicted on 3 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of aggravated attempted murder, and 1 count of felonious assault. Because of his age, he was detained as a juvenile pending a decision by the prosecution and court as to whether he would be tried as an adult. Following a competency hearing in May of 2012, a judge determined that Lane was competent to stand trial. Later that month, the decision was made to charge Lane as an adult. He pleaded guilty and received 3 consecutive life sentences without parole on March 19th, 2013. In February of 2014, the families of the 3 deceased students and Nick Walczak was the one that was permanently paralyzed, filed a wrongful death suit in Lake County against the Chardon School District and Lake Academy Alternative School. The Lake County judge dismissed the district and Lake Academy as parties, retaining only 5 former and current employees of the Chardon School District and high school as defendants. The families appealed to the Ohio Supreme Court, which declined to hear the case in July of 2016. It was returned to the Lake County Common. It was returned to the Lake County Common Pleas Court. In addition, attorneys representing the estates of the 3 deceased students filed federal and state wrongful death suits against the family of T.J. Lane, which was settled in May of 2014, including settlements of suits against his father, maternal grandfather, and paternal uncle, and their associated insurance companies. The Lane family agreed to pay nearly $2.7 million. On September 11th, 2014, Lane, along with two older inmates, escaped from Allen Correctional Facility in Lima, Ohio. He was captured the following day, and the three men were transferred to a maximum security prison. Now, the incident. Chardon High School was open in the morning before classes, and many students typically gathered in the cafeteria to get breakfast. Others waited there for a bus to classes at the related Auburn Career Center, a vocational school offering computer and other classes, and Lake Academy, a regional school for at-risk students referred for help with academic or behavioral issues. According to reports, a boy stood up in the cafeteria and began shooting at approximately 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, causing chaos. The surveillance video showed a shooter, later identified as Thomas T.J. Lane, shooting four male students at one table with a handgun. He wounded another. Fleeing the school, Lane shot a female student. He was chased out of the school by teacher Joseph Reese and football coach Frank Hall. Lane was soon arrested by police outside the school, near his car parked on Wooden Road. 5 students were hospitalized. 3 died of their injuries within 2 days. The severely injured Daniel Parmitor, Russell King, and Demetrius Hewlin were flown by helicopter to Metro Health Medical Center in Cleveland, Ohio, approximately 31 miles by road. Joy Rickers and Nick Walczak were taken to local Hillcrest Hospital. A 6th student, Nate Mueller, was superficially injured by a bullet grazing his right ear and did not need hospital treatment. Now, the murders. At noon on February 27, 2012, Chardon Police Chief Tim McKenna announced in a news conference that one of the victims has died. A spokeswoman for Cleveland's Metro Health Medical Center identified him as 16-year-old Daniel Parmitor, a high school junior. His family issued a statement requesting that their privacy be respected. Parmitor had been in the cafeteria to wait for a bus to the Auburn Career Center Vocational School in a nearby Concord Township, where he studied computer science, and he intended to work with computers. At 12:42 a.m. the next day, Russell King Jr., who was only 17, pronounced brain dead at Metro Health Medical Center. King, a junior, studied alternative energy technology. He was enrolled at both Chardon High School and at the Auburn Career Center, and was also waiting for the bus. King's family released a statement thanking the public for their support and offering sympathy to the families of the other victims. They said that King's organs would be donated as he had wished. On February 28, 2012, Demetrius Hewlin, only 16, the 3rd student transferred to Metro Health, was reported to have died. His family expressed their sorrow in a statement to the press. Friends of Hewlin said that he liked to work out and wanted to be on the football team. Hewlin's mother, Phyllis Ferguson, in an interview with ABC News, said of her son that he wasn't a morning person and he was late for school, but that one day he wasn't late. We were running a little late, but we weren't late enough. But it's okay. It's in God's hands now. Let his his has will let something his will be done. I don't know what she said. When questioned about what she would say to the assailant, she said that she would forgive him because most school shooters did not know what they were doing. She said that her son's organs would also be donated and that she had learned one recipient was a child who is within days of death without transplant. Now, other victims. 17-year-old Nick Walczak was shot several times in the arm, neck, cheek, and back. He was taken to Hillcrest Hospital. Joy Rickers, 18, was released from Hillcrest Hospital on February 28th. Nate Mueller, who was not hospitalized, was nicked in his right ear by a bullet. Mueller and Walczak students who are students at Auburn Career Center were waiting in the cafeteria when King and Parmetor for the bus to their school. Teachers' actions. After the shooting, students praised two teachers, Frank Hall and Joseph Reese, as heroes. Students expressed thanks to them for their courageous actions on Twitter. Hall was said to have charged at the shooter who was aiming his gun at him. A student that said that Hall frequently spoke out of his caring for the students, which was shown by his actions. Teacher Joe Reese had just started his math class when he heard shots and ordered his students to lock down. Hearing moaning outside the classroom, Reese put on a bulletproof vest and opened the door and dragged wounded student Nick Walczak into the classroom, where he administered first aid. Walczak family credits Reese with saving their son's life. A student describes these teachers as two of the greatest leaders in our school. Perpetrator. Thomas Michael T.J. Lane III, born September 19, 1994, was identified as the suspect by authorities late on February 27th. But because he was a juvenile at the time, authorities were reluctant to release his name. However, CBS News had reported in the afternoon that law enforcement officials had surrounded a house belonging to Thomas Michael Lane Jr., the suspect's father. In their investigation, police also searched the home of Lane's maternal grandparents, Jack Nolan, and his wife in Chardon Township. Lane did not live there, but frequently visited on the weekends. The residence, along with other properties owned by the Lane family, was searched extensively on the day of the shooting. A nearby forest which neighbors said the Lane children used for target practice was also searched. At the time of the shooting, Lane was taking classes as a sophomore at Lake Academy, an alternative school in nearby Willoughby, the school, which is also known as the Lake County Educational Service Center, served 55 students in February of 2012. They were referred there from public schools in the region because of academic or behavioral needs. Students who complete their educations at Lake Academy graduated with their classmates at descending schools. According to student witnesses, Lane had a personal rivalry with King, one of the victims. Another student witnesses said that Lane appeared to aim specifically at King that morning, indicating that he was the first to be shot of the students at his table. The students said that King had previously threatened to beat Lane up, and that Lane had taken up weightlifting in the previous year to prepare to fight King. 4 of the 5 victims at King's table were students at the Auburn Career Center, a vocational school. Lane and the Auburn students regularly took the same bus from Chardon to their other schools. Lake Academy was the farthest from the home school of Chardon. Lane had known some of the victims from middle school. There were rumors that a warning about the shooting had been posted on Twitter, but this was not verified. New agencies published excerpts from the Facebook profile of a boy named TJ Lane. The profile did not give a location, but several of the user's friends were listed as being from Chardon. One entry in particular, dated December 30th, 2011, caught attention. The last line read, "Die all of you." According to a comment posted by Lane on January 20th, 2012, he wrote that text as a class assignment. Reactions of friends. A friend of Lane described him as just a very normal teenage boy. She told the CNN that she was in complete shock from the incident. She said that Lane often seemed sad, but appeared to be completely normal. Another friend said that Lane was regularly teased at school, which made Lane put a wall around himself and refused to divulge personal information. A third student told reporters that Lane had come from a really broken down home. He was said to be a quiet person who could be nice to others if he felt comfortable with them. Students at Lake Academy denied that he had been bullied. They described him as friendly and nice, but not very talkative. Alright. Now we go to a next paragraph. The weapon that he used. A Sturm Ruger MK. After Lane's arrest, law enforcement determined that the gun used in the shooting had been purchased legally by his uncle. Lane stole the .22 caliber handgun from him. The press reported that it was a Ruger MK3 Target .22 caliber semi-automatic handgun. Reports were that the shooter dropped the gun as he fled from the scene, but it was found on the ground along with a knife near the shooter on Wooden Road when he was arrested. Suspect's prior offenses. On February 29th, 2012, Timothy J. Grendel, the juvenile court judge presiding over Lane's case, allowed the release of the suspect's juvenile records to the press. These are generally kept sealed. According to these, Lane was arrested twice in December of 2009. The first time Lane restrained his uncle while his cousin hit him. In the second case, Lane hit another boy in the face. To the second charge, Lane pleaded guilty to a count of disorderly conduct. Community reaction. In the wake of the event, school district officials closed all Chardon schools on February 28th. The school department provided counseling and scheduled a gradual return to school for the students, teachers, and staff, with school resuming in full on Friday, March 2nd, 2012. On the night of February 27th, several vigils were held, including one at the Assembly of God Church. A suggestion by a student on Facebook resulted in tens of thousands of residents wearing red, one of Chardon's high school's colors. On February 28th, in support of the school, on the school colors, tens of thousands of residents wearing red, one of the Chardon's high school colors, on February 28th, in support of the school. The United Way set up the Chardon Healing Fund to help those traumatized by shooting. Donations of $150,000 had already been made when the new fund was announced on February 28th. In the evening of the day following the attack, thousands of people attended a vigil at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Chardon, where a funeral mass was scheduled for the victim, Daniel Parmenter, to take place the following weekend. As on February 28th, police and school attendants were red. Chardon High School principal Andy Fetchick spoke to rally the student body and encouraged them to help each other during the healing process, which while I don't know how to say this name, Kasich Kasich encouraged Chardon residents to support those who had also lost loved ones. Okay. Police, a political response. On the morning of the shooting, Ohio Governor John Kasich issued a statement praising the Chardon Police and GEAUGU, or just, I think there's just an A after the G. The Geauga Sheriff's Office, he was praised. John Kasich issued a statement praising the Chardon Police and Geauga Sheriff's Office for their handling of the incident and pledging support to the community. The following day, Mr. Kasich ordered that the flag at the Ohio State House, as well as all flags in Geauga County, be flown at half-staff in honor of the victims. The school principal, expressing his condolences for the student victims and saying that both he and the first... half-staffed in honor of the victims. The following... that's why. I skipped the line. The following day, President Barack Obama telephoned the school principal expressing his condolences for the student victims and saying that both he and First Lady Michelle Obama were praying for the high school community. Alright. Students returned to school. On March 2nd, 2012, the students returned to school. A student from West Geauga High School, her mother, and a neighbor organized a lineup at Chardon event via Facebook to welcome students back to Chardon High School. They had a sign saying, "I'll stand by you," referring to the song by the Pretenders. More than 100 youths and children from surrounding school districts, including West Geauga, came to show support. Students of Chardon High School and their parents were given a walkthrough of the school. The senior class officers organized a procession for solidarity from Chardon Square to the school that morning. Classes resumed the next day. The cafeteria, which was the crime scene, had been repainted and reorganized. The table where most of the victims had been sitting were covered with flowers and stuffed animals. Now the funerals. On March 2nd, 2012, which is the same day that the students returned to school, Fred Phelps Jr. was reported to announce that the Westboro Baptist Church, the WBC, was planning to street preach about the Ohio shooting at the funeral of Parmenter. Chardon resident Alex Pavlik organized a response via Facebook for people to form a barricade around St. Mary's Church to protect Parmenter's family and funeral on March 3rd. By the day of the funeral, a human barricade consisting of thousands had readied, but the WBC protesters did not come. 3 days later, Demetrius Hewlin's funeral was held at St. Mary's. Members of 4 motorcycle clubs, including the Patriot Guard Riders, participated as part of the Honor Guard. The Patriot Guard had formed to provide a protective barrier for families of fallen soldiers at funerals that have been protested by Westboro Baptist Church. Hearing and trial. On February 28, 2012, at 3:50 p.m. Eastern Time, a detention hearing was held for the suspect at Geauga County Juvenile Court in Chardon. According to the LA Times, in the United States, teenage suspects under the age of 18 are considered juveniles and treated as such unless and until prosecutors decide to charge them as adults. Thus, they are held in juvenile rather than adult facilities during detention until trial. Judge Tim Grendel began the proceeding by asking the media not to take photographs of the defendant until the court determined whether or not he would be tried as an adult. At the prosecutor's request, the judge directed that the attorneys refrain from speaking to the media regarding the proceeding. He outlined conditions under which the media could participate, including not taking any facial photographs of the defendant or his family. After hearing the prosecutor's argument for continuing the detention and retrieving no objection, the judge ruled that detention at the Portage /Geauga Juvenile Detention Center at Ravenna, Ohio, should continue for 15 days. The issues of arraignment and possible transfer to adult court were put off to future dates. The judge stated that the prosecution had until March 1st, 2012 to file charges. After the hearing, prosecutor Dave Joyce indicated that he would attempt to try Lane as an adult and filed 3 counts of aggravated murder, among other charges for the incident. At the hearing, the prosecutor said that Lane admitted to shooting 10 rounds of ammunition during the incident. Lane told the police that he did not know the victims and that, except King. Remember, he had beef with King. that he did not know the victims and that they were only selected randomly, but student witnesses attested to Lane knowing the victims from school. Outside defense attorneys observing the hearing raised concerns related to whether Lane's attorney was protecting his client's rights. First, a concern was raised that Lane's attorney agreed with the judge that the gag order would not go into effect until after the press conference that prosecutor Joyce held following the hearing. This exception to the order gave the prosecution the opportunity to announce the defendant's confession publicly, thus influencing the jury pool. A second concern regarding prosecutor Joyce's statement at the conference that Lane is someone who's not well. Ian Friedman, a criminal attorney and past president of the Ohio Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, said that such things are generally said by defense attorneys. Another attorney said that in this case, he would have filed a motion to ensure that the juvenile's mental health would be evaluated before the case was brought to the court, adult court. As of March 1st, 2012, Lane's defense had filed no motions, and on March 1st, 2012, prosecutors formally charged Lane with 3 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of aggravated attempted murder, and 1 count of felonious assault. Lane did not enter a plea when he was arraigned on March 6th. 2 additional defense attorneys were assigned to the case in March. The judge postponed the decision as to whether to try Lane as an adult until after a mental competency evaluating was completed. On April 9th, Lane again appeared before Judge Grendel, who set the date for a competency hearing for May 2nd. He also scheduled a hearing for May 12th to determine whether the defendant would be tried as an adult. The competency evaluation could have been requested by either the prosecution or the defense. One observing attorney said the judge might have made the decision for himself. According to Ohio law, a child may be found competent only if able to grasp the seriousness of the charges, if able to understand the court proceedings, if able to aid in the defense, and if able to understand potential consequences. The law says a child with a mental illness or an intellectual or development disability may not be found competent. Competency hearing now. All right, now it's competency hearing. The competency hearing was held on May 2nd, 2012. Testimony was given by psychiatrist Philip Resnick, who testified that Lane was mentally ill. He said the defendant was suffering from psychosis that caused hallucinations and loss of contact with reality, but it does not interfere with Lane's ability to understand the charges against him and for him to stand trial. Judge Grendel determined at this hearing that Lane was competent to stand trial. In June, the prosecutor determined to try Lane as an adult. He was indicted on 6 charges that were filed earlier in March. 3 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of felonious assault. On June 8th, he pleaded not guilty to those charges. His bail was set up at $1 million. Actually, $1 million. And he was scheduled to be transferred from the Juvenile Detention Center to County Jail for adults on June 18th. However, on June 20th, a motion was filed with the Geauga County Court of Common Pleas, stating that if someone were to pay a daily $120 fee, Lane could remain in the Portage, Geauga County Juvenile Detention Center, which I don't think anyone was doing that. Guilty plea. On February 26, 2013, Lane pleaded guilty to the charges for which he had been indicted. On March 19, 2013, he was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences without parole. After entering... Now, this is where he shows no remorse and should be locked up for the rest of his life. He should literally be on death row. He should literally have the whole entire... He should die in jail. He should literally drop the soap every single day, if you know what I mean, and be effed in the A every single day for the rest of his natural life. Because after entering the courtroom for the sentencing hearing, Lane removed his dress shirt to reveal a white t-shirt which had the word "killer" handwritten across the front. He smiled and smirked throughout the hearing after being sentenced. Lane said to the victims, and I quote, said to the victims, his families, and the courtroom, and I quote, "This hand that pulled the trigger that killed your sons now masturbates to the memory. Fuck you all," while giving the middle finger to the attendees. Wrongful death suits in 2014. The families of the 3 deceased students filed wrongful death suits against TJ Lane's family. His parents, Thomas and Sarah, maternal grandparents, Jack Nolan and his wife, and paternal uncle, Daniel Lane, who he replaced original defendant, John Bruning, in the suit. That last part was finally settled in May of 2014. A federal lawsuit was settled in 2013 with members of the Lane family and Liberty Mutual Insurance. Earlier in 2014, Nolan and his insurer Nationwide Property and Casualty Incorporation settled. The final settlement brought the total to nearly $2.7 million, given that each of the 3 families received $890,000, with each family paying 40% of their settlements to their respective attorneys, which still, even if it was $1 million each, no amount of money would ever bring back those 3 kids. Rodney King, I think. His name was Rodney, I think. Daniel Portimer and Demetrius Hewler. Judge Timothy Grendel of the Geauga County Probate Juvenile Court, who handled the estates of the 3 deceased students, chose to make the settlement terms public because of the high interest in the case, and to warn families of consequences if you are allowed to warn families of consequences if youth are allowed access to firearms. On the 2nd anniversary of the shooting, February 27th, 2014, the families of the 3 deceased students, plus that of Nick Walczak as plaintiff, filed a wrongful death suit against the Chardon School District and Lake Academy Alternative School in Lake County Common Pleas Court, ruling that only Lane was responsible for the harm to these victims. Judge Joe Gibson dismissed the school district and individual employees as parties to the suit, but retained 5 defendants who were current or former employees of the Chardon School District. School Superintendent Joseph Burgent, Manager of Operations Dana Stearns, High School Principal Andy Fetchick, and Drew Trimble and Michael Sedlick, who were both assistant principals at the high school. The plaintiff had argued that more could have been done to prevent the shooting. Gibson's decision which was upheld on appeal by the 11th Ohio District Court of Appeals. The defendants appealed the state Supreme Court, which in July 2016 declined to hear the case. It was returned to the lower courts of resolution with Judge John P. O'Donnell presiding. Now, 2014 escape from prison. At 7:38 p.m., September 11th, 2014, Lane escaped from Allen Correctional Institution at Lima, Ohio, along with 2 older inmates. They used a makeshift ladder to scale a fence during recreation hours. 33-year-old Lindsay Bruce was quickly captured afterward. Lane and the other inmate, who was identified as 45-year-old Clifford Opperud of Carlisle, Ohio, who was serving a 12-year sentence for aggravated robbery, aggravated burglary, and kidnapping, remained at large. Police conducted searches at a wooded area at a residential neighborhood near the prison. At 1:20 a.m. the following day, Lane was captured near the woods, and Opperud was apprehended about 3 hours later. Chardon High School was closed that same day, and counselors were made available to students and staff if they had any PTSD from anything, I would think. Later in the day, Lane, Opperud, and Bruce were transferred to the Ohio State Penitentiary, a supermax prison in Youngstown, Ohio. In the Youngstown prison, Lane was restricted to his cell for 23 hours a day, with 1 hour of recreation daily, which I don't think he should even get any hours recreational. He should literally be solitary confinement, literally no windows, literally not even on a mattress, sleep on a cold wood floor, get the lightest morsel of food that he can to survive. If you guys don't know, this guy's a real asshole. I think this guy should be. If you guys don't know by now, I hate this guy's guts. As of March 2016, Lane was transferred to the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility, a maximum security prison in Lucasville. Now, casualties. It was Russell King, not Rodney King. Daniel Parmenter, 16, deceased. Russell King Jr., 17, deceased. Demetrius Hewlin, 16, deceased. Nate Mueller, 16, minor injury to ear. Nick Walczak, 17, shot multiple times in the neck, arm, and back, and a bullet also lodged in his cheek resulted in him being permanently injured. And Joy Rickers, also 18, injured, released from hospital after approximately 24 hours. So, yeah. So those are the victims. 3 of them died, 3 of them survived, with obviously with one of them having complications, because he's paralyzed. I would love to give a big round of applause to Joe Reese and the other student. And the other teacher. I forgot his name. Something Hall. I forgot his first name, but I think his last name is something Hall. Hold on, let me see if I can find him. Oh yeah, football coach Frank Hall and teacher Joseph Reese. You gotta give them. They are the heroes in this case. They are the ones that stopped TJ Lane. Alright, so, and before I get off this video, I'm gonna talk about the hint of my next video that I'm doing of my next murderous case. Well, this one, the people were actually lucky enough to not be killed. They were only kidnapped, but they were kidnapped for like 11 years. And all you have to know for this hint is by this one quote. Is that, you know, something's wrong when a pretty little white girl walks up to a big black man asking for help. That's what he said. And he literally made a song about it. So if you guys know who I'm talking about, I guess, you know, I mean, I would say put in the comments below, but I don't think, for some reason, I don't think my comment section is working. So I'll catch you guys later. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Please don't kill anybody. Stay safe. Peace.